Good afternoon, everybody. It's time for a game of replay baseball. Haven't played replay baseball in a while, at least not on video. So, today we're going to go to opening day 1975 Shea Stadium, and it's a matchup between the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. This is with as played lineups and as 25-man rosters as they were on opening day. I've got this season on the computer as well, so I'm able to keep track of who's on the roster, who the lineups are, and keep track of stats after the game is over as well. And the interesting pitching matchup is Steve Carlton against Tom Seaver. I've got the fold-out board out of right now, and I've also got the original playbook that I used when I first got the game. So I'm thinking today I'm going to try to do a mobile camera where I have it in my hand, so I can see and get close-ups of the actual results on the cards and the books. So, with that in mind, we will go through the starting lineups for both teams. First, for the visiting Philadelphia Phillies, leading off and playing second base will be Dave Cash. Batting second at shortstop is Larry Boa. Hitting third at first base is Willie Montañez. Hitting cleanup, hello Steve Ryan, how are you? Hitting cleanup in left field is Greg Luzinski. Batting fifth at third base is Mike Schmidt. Hitting sixth and playing in right field is Mike Anderson. Bob Boone, he's doing the catching. Batting eighth is Alan Bannister. He's in center. And, of course, batting ninth, and he has his own batting card, is Steve Carlton. I was able to go into the website of Replay Baseball and their free stuff, and they had a lot of the extra cards that you could print off. So rather than using the pitcher hitting card, the generic one, I was able to print off a specific one for Steve Carlton. And if you're wondering, well, where Gary Maddox is, he's with the Giants right now. He came over in the trade with Willie Montañez, so that's why he's not in the outfield, because I'm using as-played lineups. For the Mets, leading off will be left fielder Gene Clines. Batting second at second base is Felix Millan. Hitting third at first base is John Milner. Joe Torre, third base, will bat cleanup. Dave Kingman will play right field and hit fifth. Jerry Grody will do the catching, and he will hit sixth. Dell Unser is in center field. He will hit seventh. Bud Harrelson, shortstop, will hit eighth. And batting ninth, again, with his own card, is Tom Terrific Seaver. So, those festivities out of the way, we are ready to go. Again, the starting pitchers, Tom Seaver and Steve Carlton. So we'll put Seaver up front because he is on the bump. And he'll be facing Dave Cash. And I've got the book here, so I'll flip to the results as they come up. Again, this is, you read this in red, white, and blue order. The red die tells you about the columns for both the pitcher and the hitter. The white die is the row on the batter, and the blue die is the row on the pitcher. So we are all set. And Dave Cash will be leading things off for the Phillies against Tom Terrific Seaver. All right, we got a 6'2", tells us what column we're in for both the batter and the pitcher. Dave Cash has a 2, and so that's a 55, and that's that raised number of 3. So we're going to the ballpark on this result. So we look at Shea Stadium's card. Column 2, which is right here, it's a looping line drive. Right now the result's 3, but that can change based on this die roll. It is now a 4 on the die, which means column 2, the 4 is a 3, so it didn't change. It stayed the same. Raised number of 3. The blue die is a 4, and the blue die being a 4 on this result tells us that that is the center fielder that we're checking on. So the center fielder for the Mets is Dell Unser, and Dell Unser has a range rating of 4. So that is greater than 3, obviously, which means he will make the play. Let's get Unser's card out here so you can see this, because it has to be greater than 3, but as you can see right there, his range rating is a 4, and his arm rating is a 4. So his range rating was higher than the 3, so he will make the play. So Dell Unser had just enough range to get that looping liner, and Dave Cash is retired. There's one away to start the ball game. And now that'll bring up Larry Boa. So Larry Boa, switch hitter, steps in the box against Seaver. We get a 5-2-3. So for Larry Boa, a 5 and a 2 is a 27. And for a 5 and a 3 is a 2. That's a 29 in column 5. We go to column 5 out to center field. And there's 2 away. So 2 flyouts to center field. 2 quick outs. And that brings up Willie Montañez. It's a 5-3-6. So for Montañez, a 5 and a 3 is a 4. 5 and a 6, also a 4. 8 in column 5 is going to be a walk. So a 2-out walk. And that will send up Greg Luzinski to the plate against Tom Terrific. We get a 1-2-3. 1-2 for Luzinski is a 1. And a 1-3 for Seaver is also a 1. That's a total of 2 in column. I'm sorry, I should be in column 1 there. 1-3 is a 1, right? Okay. And a 1-2 is a 1. It's a total of 2 in column 1, and everybody knows that plays replay baseball. If you got a 2 through a 6 in column 1, it's a strikeout. So Seaver gets the strikeout of Luzinski, and the Phillies are gone here in the first. So we're going to go to the bottom of the first, which means Seaver will exit, and Steve Carlton will be on the hill. And he'll be facing right-hander Gene Clines. Clines, a 3-4-5. So for Gene Clines, a 3-4 is going to be a 57. And for Carlton, a 3-5 is going to be a 1. So that is a total of 58 in column 3. 58 in column 3 is a rare play possibility. So we're going to roll 1 die. If it's even, then we got to ground out to the pitcher or ground ball back to the pitcher. If it's odd, we go to the rare play chart. It's even, so it's a comebacker to the pitcher. So a comebacker to the pitcher, and we'll read that result on a rare play. Comebacker to the pitcher, use 50, but it's not odd. So if it's even, use result 53 to 57, which means we're up here. Comebacker to the pitcher. Pitcher tries to retire runner of his choice with 2 outs. Play is on batter. Roll 1 die against runner's speed. If the die is higher, he is out. All right, so the runner's speed, Gene Clines, his speed rating is a 5. He can fly. So the only way that they're going to get him out is to roll a 6. Other than that, and it's a 5, so it's not greater, so he will beat it out. So Gene Clines gets a infield single. Steve Ryan, congratulations. It's a great game. I have it on the computer as well, and I learned a lot just by playing the computer game. And also learn a lot, of course, playing cards and dice, and I appreciate the computer game even more. Same way with Strat. I didn't really appreciate the Strat computer game until I started playing cards and dice. But that gave me a better appreciation for what was going on. All right, here's Felix Millan. Millan's a 2.62. So for Millan, a 2.6, and we're in that ballpark range again that we checked out in the first inning. This Rays number is 2, but that can certainly change based on the Shea Stadium results. We're going to roll the red die. We keep the blue and white as they were. And the roll is a 4, so the original Rays number was a 2, but now with the die roll of a 4, that's going to change it up to a 3. So that means the outfielder, who is represented by the blue die, that's a 2, that's the left fielder. That means Luzinski, who's not a very good fielder, has to have a range rating of 3 or higher. He does not. He's got a range rating of 2. So that means it's going to fall in for a base hit. And let's go over here and check the actual book results so we can see what we're talking about. It's a looping liner. And it says here, if outfielder's defensive rating is not higher than the Rays number, the ball falls in for a single. Runner advances 1 base, 2 bases if their speed is higher than the outfielder's arm. Well, obviously, Gene Clines can fly. He's got a rating of 5, so he's going to go the extra base because the arm rating of Luzinski is only a 3. So basically, if you're talking strat terms, that's a single star is about how that works its way out. And there's 2 on, nobody out for John Milner. Lefty on lefty matchup against Carlton. And we get a 4-2-1. That's a fielding check when you get column 4 in the red. 4-2 for Milner is a 2. And a 4-1 on Carlton is the first baseman Montañez. That's that little blue spot there showing first base. Montañez, and Montañez is a defensive rating of 3. So we add the 3 to the 2 on Milner, a total of 5 in column 4. So we're going to go to column 4. The infield was at double play depth, which means they're at halfway. So we go to halfway, and let me get out of these shadows real quick. We go to halfway, and the roll was a 5, which means second to first double play. So it's a second to first double play. Other runners advance 1 base. So other runners will advance the 1 base, but it is a double play, which will help get them out of further damage. So Kleins will score. However, it is going to be a 3-6-3 double play to get 2 quick outs and try to get the Phillies out of further damage. Joe Torre will lead things off, or will step up to the plate. 2 outs, bases empty for Joe Torre. That is a 2-5-4. So Torre, a 2-5 for Torre is a 2, and a 2-4 for Carlton is a 1. That's a total of 3 in column 2, and that's a strikeout, and that's going to end the inning. But the Mets pick up a run. It was derived by a double play ground out, but they'll take it either way you go. And the inning is over. And we go to the second inning with the score 1-0 Mets. Trucks at the background have your dogs fired up. Okay. I have my window shut, so hopefully that's not gonna. I'm not gonna hear any traffic out there or anything. Tom Seaver steps to the plate, or steps on the bump, and Mike Schmidt will lead things off in the top of the second. 3-3-2. 3-3 is a 32 for Schmidt, and a 3-2 for Seaver is a 1. That's a total of 33 in column 3. And if we go to the book in column number 3 and look at number 33, 33 is a line out to center field. So Schmidt lines it to Unser in center for out number 1. That's going to bring up Mike Anderson, right fielder. Mike Anderson, that's a 1-3-4. So 1-3 for Anderson is a 1, and when you get a 1 in column 1 with the batter, it's almost guaranteed to be a strikeout. 1-4 for Seaver is a 1. That's a total of 2 in column 1. 2 in column 1 is, in fact, the aforementioned strikeout. So there's 2 up and 2 down. Brings up Bob Boone. So Booney stepping to the plate. Oop, and down goes Seaver. Booney, 5-6-1. So we check Boone for 5-6. 5-6 on Boone is a 2. And a 5-1 on Seaver is a 4K. So that is, I'm sorry, it's a 3K. 3K. So, no, it's a 1. My bad. I'm looking at the blue. 5-1, it's a 1. Okay, so it's a 1 there, and for Booney, it is a 2. It's a total of 3 in column 5, and 3 in column 5. I'll show that real quickly. 3 in column 5. We're at column 5. A 3 is a ground ball to second base. So it's a ground out to second, and that's going to end the inning as the Phillies go in order 1, 2, 3. And we go to the bottom of the second, still with a 1-0 ball game. And Steve Carlton back out on the hill. And he will be facing, to lead things off, Dave Kingman, King Kong Kingman. I'm trying not to shake the camera as much as I can, holding it with my hand like that. However, when I'm rolling dice and moving around, it's going to inevitably move a little bit. But I'm trying to be mobile if possible so I can show these books and these results. 3-5, 3-5 for Kingman. 3-5 for Kingman is a 3 with an asterisk, which means if he gets on base, then there's some base running activity that could come up. But it's a 3 there. And then a 3-2 for Carlton is a 1. So that's a total of 3, and a 3 in column 3. 3 in column 3 is going to show up as a fly out to left field. So it's a short, I'm sorry, it's a dribbler to the catcher, my bad. Dribbler to the catcher. So it's a dribbler to the catcher, and Bob Boone will take it easily, and Kingman is out. Brings up Jerry Grody. Oops, and down goes Carlton. Grody, 5-1-6. So Grody, a 5 and a 1, and that's a total of 4. And Carlton, a 5 and a 6, that's a total of 5. That is a total of 9 in column 5. And column 5 is where you get your walks predominantly. So we go to column 5 and look at number 9, and we do in fact see it is a walk. So Carlton will walk Grody. 1 out walk. Brings up Dell Unser, the center fielder. Dell Unser, lefty on lefty matchup against Carlton. And down goes Carlton again. 3-4-2. 3-4-2. 3-4 for Unser is a 57. And a 3-2 for Carlton is a 1. It's a total of 58 in column 3. And I believe that's the rare play again. And it is. A 58-62 is a rare play. So the way to resolve that, you roll 1 die. If it's odd, you go to the rare play book. If it's even, you go up 1 notch and do a comeback to the pitcher. It's odd, so this time we're going to the rare play book. And that's in the back of the book, of the playbook. And it's rare play, and it's based on base running situations. Right now we have a runner on first, so we need to go over here to runner on first. And it also is by number of outs, which is 1 out. So I'm going to roll 2 d6s and check it against the rare play chart. So I'll go ahead and roll it on the chart itself. And we get a 9. So that's a 9. And there's also 1 out. So 9 with runner on first. It's a 9 and 1 out. 1 out says infield single, ball is dead. Batter smashes up the middle, hits second base umpire. Credit batter with single and advance runner on first base to second. So he hits the umpire, which by rule is a base hit and it's a dead ball. So that's why it's called a rare play, because you don't get to see that very often, but you saw it here. He hit the umpire, and he reaches base via the base hit. And that'll bring up Bud Harrelson with runners at first and second and 1 out. And we get a 6-2-2. All right, a 6-2-2. Bud Harrelson, a 6-2 for Bud Harrelson is a 31. And a 6-2 for Carlton is a 2. That's a total of 33 in column 6. We're over here in column 6 now. And a 33 is a pop-up to second. So he's going to pop it up to second, and that's out number 2. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Tom Seaver, who again has his own pitcher hitting card, personalized because he had so many at-bats. He had 95 at-bats. It's a 2-2-5. So Seaver, a 2-2 is an 11. And a 2-5 for Carlton is a 1. It's a total of 12 in column number 2. And 12 in column number 2 is going to happen to be column number 2. And a 12 is a single to left field. Runner advances 1 base with 2 outs. Runner on second would score. And Jerry Grote's on second, so he's going to score. He will come in to score, and the Mets take a 2-0 lead on a base hit by Tom Seaver. So how about that? Tom Seaver, RBI single, puts the Mets ahead 2-0 on Carlton. Carlton's looking a little chagrined. Here's Gene Klein's back to the top of the order. Trying not to shake this camera very much, but I think it's inevitable from holding it and I'm rolling dice. 3-3. So Gene Klein's, I've only got 2 hands, so I'm trying to do a lot with 2 hands. 3-3 is a 5, so that's the color indication, which means we're looking at Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium, the out or single column. And it was right now started as a 5, but we're going to re-roll the red die and see what happens. It's a 6. So the red die, being a 6, is going to take that column 3 result and change it to well, it was a 5 already, so it really doesn't change, does it? Stays the same. And then we've got a 3-5 for Carlton, which is a 2. So a 2 plus a 5 is a 7. 7 in column number 3. Column number 3, and a 7 is a single to left field. Runners advance 1 base. So another base hit, this one by Klein's. And the runner only advances 1 base, Unser. Now we could try the third base. It does say check with third base coach for extra base attempts. So let's go to the third base coach, which is right here, and see about possibly taking the extra base. The single went to left field, which means we're checking the left fielder's arm for the Phillies. That's Luzinski. His arm is a 3. So his arm is a 3, so we're going to take the speed minus the runner's arm. So the speed of the runner on second base was Dell Unser, and Unser's speed If we pull up Unter's card, his speed is a 4. So we take the 4 minus the arm, which is a 3, and that gives us a +1. So since we're at +1, we're going to be in this column right here in the green. We're going to try the extra base. If we roll a 12, he has to hold. If we roll a 10, he'll be out. Anything else, he'll be safe. So we're going to roll 2 d6s and see what we get. And we get an 8, so he made it. So Dale Unser took the extra base. He comes in to score. And the score now is 3-0 in favor of the Phillies. I'm sorry, of the Mets. 3-0 in favor of the Mets as Mian got an RBI single. Brings up John Milner. It's a 4-5-4, so we're under a fielding check. 4-5 for Milner is a 5, and a 4-4 for Carlton is the shortstop, Larry Boa. And Larry Boa is a rating of 3, so that's a total of 8 in column 4. And since there are 2 outs, the infield would be back. So we're going to the back column and looking at an 8, and 2 through 11 is a ground out to first. So therefore, the inning is over. So Boa makes the play, no problem. And the Phillies now trail the Mets 3-0 after 2 complete innings. So that'll bring up Alan Bannister. Alan Bannister will start things off. Alan Bannister. And guys, I might have to grab my little thing here and prop this up because I'm not sure how I can keep going the switching with the one hand back and forth. But I'll try it. Here's Bannister. I just don't want to shake the camera too much. That was a 1. I knocked it over with my thumb. 1-3 for Bannister. 1-3 is a 10 with a plus, which means that's a stolen base opportunity possibly if he reaches. And a 1-4 for Seaver is a 1. So that's a total of 11 in column 1. And an 11 in column 1 is going to be a single up the middle. So with that single, that means that plus sign will come into play. So we go to the back of the book and look at the plus sign, and that has to do with the base runner trying to steal. We go over here to our stolen bases in the book, and when you get that plus sign, it says roll 1 die against catcher's regular defensive rating. Not his error rating, but his regular defensive rating. If it's not higher, runner is caught stealing. Okay, so the Jerry Grody, his defensive rating for Jerry Grody is a 4. And this is saying that roll 1 die against the catcher's defensive rating. If not higher, the runner is caught stealing. So, basically, as long as this isn't a 5 or a 6, then Bannister will be caught stealing. It's a 6, so he did not get caught stealing. But he didn't steal either. It says, oh, it is a stolen base. My bad. It is a stolen base. And on a roll of 6, check for possible extra base on throwing error by the catcher rolling against his error rating. Well, I did roll a 6, so that means I got to check for an error rating. And the error rating on Grody is 54. So we'll see if this is a 54 or less, and it is 42. So there is not going to be an error. It'll simply be a stolen base for Bannister. So he will steal, and that'll bring up the pitcher, Steve Carlton, and Carlton will go ahead and swing away. And we get a 1-1-5. 1-1 is a 1. 1-5 is a 1. That's a total of 2, which means he will strike out for out number 1. And that brings up the top of the order in Dave Cash with a runner on second and 1 out. Dave Cash. Dave Cash, a 6-4-2. 6-4 for Dave Cash is a 41, and a 6-2 for Seaver is a 1. It's a 42 in column 6. So we go to column 6. Look at 42. That's a line drive hit to left field. Runner advances 1 base on the single. Chance for extra bases. Roll against the outfielder's defensive rating. Well, the blue die was a 2, which means we're checking the left fielder. And in this case, for the Mets, the left fielder is Gene Clines. Gene Clines is a 3-rated outfielder. So we're going to roll 1 die, and if this comes up higher than 3, then we got a double. If it's not, it'll be held to a single. It's a 2, so it's held to a single. So it's a base hit for Dave Cash, and that, I do believe, well, there's a chance for extra bases, so it's not going to be an extra base. So the runner will hold at third. So runners are at the corners with 1 out, and that brings up Larry Boa. Larry Boa. And that is a 3-5-6. 3-5, again, we're in the shaded area. Right now that number is a 3, but that can certainly change based on the Shea Stadium result of that column 3 out or single. So we're going to roll 1 die and see what happens. That's a 6, so it's going to change to a 5. It was a 3. It is now going to be a 5. And we'll take the rest of the at-bat. 3-6 for the pitcher. Seaver is a 2. So that makes a total of 7 in column number 3. And a 7 in column number 3 is going to be a base hit, single to left field. So it's a single to left, and that will score Bannister to put the Phillies on the board. Cash will stop at second. Down in the game, they're not going to take a chance on the base pass. He's just going to hold where he is, and that'll bring up Willie Montañez, first baseman. Montañez against Seaver. It's a 2-4-3. So for Montañez, a 2-4 is a 60, and that's a raised number 4, which does not change because it's not in the shaded area. So that's going to be a constant 4. And the 3, the blue die of a 3, which means that's going to be checking the center fielder, Dale Unser. Dale Unser is a range rating of 4, which is not greater than 4, so that's going to drop in for a base hit for... Actually, it's showing a drive toward the gap. Drive toward the gap because it's a 60, not a 50. So it's a drive toward the gap in column 2. Let's get the book over here and look at what we've got. Drive toward the gap, and we know that the range is not higher, so he didn't make the running catch. The ball falls in for a double, so it's actually going to be a double, not a single. Runner advances 2 bases. Scoring from first if speed is higher than outfielder's arm or with 2 outs. There's not 2 outs. The outfielder's arm is a 4. The speed of Boa is a 4. It's not greater than it's equal to. So there will not be an extra base involved, but there will be a double for Montañez, and that will score cash from second. Cuts the lead to 3-2, and the Phillies are in business to try to take the lead as they've got Luzinski and Schmidt coming up. So right now it's Greg Luzinski. Runners at second and third, 1 out, infield playing back. Luzinski at 2-1. A 2-1 is a 43. 43, and a 2-6 is a 1. That's a total of 44 in column 2. 44 in column 2 is a ground out pitcher to first. It says here, runners advance 1 base. So the run's going to score. If I was playing injuries, there would be an injury for a game. Right here it says injury 1 game, but I'm not playing injuries, so it's going to simply be a ground out to the pitcher, but the run's going to be able to score. So give Luzinski a RBI ground out as Boa comes in to score. And Montañez will go to third. So we're tied. We are now tied at 3 apiece, and that brings up Mike Schmidt. Schmidt's up with Montañez at third and 2 outs. And that's a defensive check, 4-4-3. 4-4 for Schmidt is an 18, and a 4-3 is the third baseman, Joe Torre. And Joe Torre is a rating of 3, so that's a 21. So a 21 in column 4 with the infield back. 21, column 4, infield back. That's a single knocked down by the fielder's glove, but you can see there's an asterisk there on that number 21, and that sends us over here to the first base umpire. And on column 21, we roll a D6. If it's a 1 or a 6, the batter is out. Anything else, the batter will be safe. And we get a 3, so it is in the safe category with a 3, so he beat it out. Mike Schmidt, infield single. That will bring home Montañez with run number 4. And the Phillies now have taken a 4-3 lead. They've come all the way back. And Seaver, a little chagrined. Here's Mike Anderson, right fielder, and that's a 2-5-6. 2-5 is a 4, and a 2-6 is a 1. It's a total of 5 in column 2. 5 in column 2 is a strikeout. So the Phillies pick up 4 runs, put a 4 spot on the board against the Phillies, or against the Mets rather. And they take a 4-3 lead. And Steve, I'm doing all this stuff with one hand and chattering while I do that. as I shuffle around here again and get everything back in line for the at bat for the Mets, and it's going to be Joe Torre. He's going to lead things off. Torre, actually, I'm taking it back. It's Milner that's going to lead things off. My bad, because Mion made the last out. So Milner is going to lead off, and Milner grounded into a double play his first time up. Trying to do better this time against Carlton. It's all fives. 5, 5, 5. Could be a walk, though, because column 5 does allow the walks. So a 5-5 is a 20 for Milner, and a 5-5 is a 4 for Carlton. That's a total of 24, and a 24 in column 5, like I said, it produces a lot of walks. 24 falls right in this category of 21 to 27. It will be a walk. Batter takes first base. Any runner advances if forced. Check column M for action for further, or in the action chart for further action. Okay, so there's a walk, but now we have to go to the action chart and check column M based on the book's instructions, and we could get a wild pitch. We could get a pickoff. There could be all kinds of things. And we're going to roll 2d6s to figure it out. The roll is a 10. So you add them together, it's a 10. So a 10 says PB, pass ball, but not necessarily. If the blue die is higher than the catcher's pass ball rating, all runners advance. Okay, well, I haven't rolled the blue die yet. I'm going to do that now. Bob Boone, his pass ball rating, the pass ball rating for Bob Boone, and that's the number here in parentheses, is a 3. That's his range and his error rating. That 3 is his pass ball rating. So if the blue die is higher than 3, we got a pass ball. It's a 1, so it's no pass ball. So simply put, it's a walk for Milner, but no other action has taken place. So we'll go back to the regular charts, and we get ready for the Joe Torre at bat. Joe Torre, and we get a 6-4-6. So Joe Torre, a 6-4, and there's the left-right splits that are in column 6. You see that column 4 has a, looks like a fraction there, 60/6. Well, if he's facing a right-hander, you use the 6 result. If he's facing a left-hander, you use the 60 result. Since Carlton's a lefty, we're using number 60. And then 6-6 for Carlton is a 4. So that's a total of 64 in column 6. So a 64 in column 6 is going to be a double into the corner. Runner advances 2 bases. So the runner on first cannot score, but that's a double. Thanks to that left-right split, that's a double. And Torre has put the Mets in good position. Runners at second and third, nobody out for Dave Kingman. So as soon as the Phillies take the lead, the Mets trying to take it right back. I was hoping this would be a pitching duel using these 2 good pitchers, but it seems to be anything but that. 3-4 for Kingman. 3 and a 4 for Kingman is a 57, and a 3 and a 2 for Seaver is a 1. That's a 58 in column number 3. So we go to column number 3 and look at number 58, and that is the rare play again. So we hit the rare play button again, roll 1 die, and if it's odd, we go to the rare play book. If it's even, then we go to the next result. So it's even. So since it's even, we're going to go up here to the next result, which is come back to the pitcher. So we're going to roll the die again, and let's see here. Well, they got a choice, because since there's not 2 outs, the play doesn't have to be on the batter. They could try to get the runner at the plate, or they could try to get the runner at first. So the run rating of different players, Milner is a 3, Torre's a 2, Kingman's a 3. So they're going to try to choke that runoff at the plate, and they're going to roll 1 die, and if it's higher than the runner's speed, he is out. So if this is a 4 or higher, then the runner will be out at the plate. It's a 4, so Milner is cut down at the plate. He is out 1-2. Torre will go to third on the fielder's choice, and Kingman will reach on the fielder's choice. So not a good job of base running there. He is out, and that will bring up Jerry Grody. And we get a 2-3-1. So a 2-3-1 on Jerry Grody. A 2 and a 3 is a 50, and a 2 and a 1 is a 1. That's a 51 in column number 2. So we'll go to column number 2, 51. That is a ground out, pitcher to first. And runners do advance a base, so that will score the run. So a ground out by Grody does produce the run as Torre comes in. And we are tied at 4 apiece. All squared away, tied at 4. And the bases are empty for Dale Unser. Unser, it's a 5-5-2. Could be another walk. Unser, 5-5 is a 15 for Mr. Unser. And a 5-2 for Carlton is a 3. It's a total of 18 in column number 5. So an 18 in column number 5. We go to column 5, number 18. That's an infield single. It won't be a walk. It's an infield single. And we're going back to M on the action chart. So it's a single for Unser, and we go back to the action chart, which we did in the previous at bat just a few seconds ago. Go to the column M again, and we're going to roll and see what happens on column M. All right, we get a 3. So a 3 says pick-off error possibility, P-O-E, pick-off error. Come down to our reference here, P-O-E. It did not have the asterisk, it was just P-O-E. Possible error on pickoff, roll against pitcher's error rating. If roll is higher, all runners advance 1 base on the throwing error. If not higher, runner gets back safely, no error. So we're going to roll against the pitcher's defensive rating. Carlton's defensive rating is a 2. So if this is higher, it's a pickoff error. And it is, it's a 6. So Carlton throws one down the right field line on the pickoff attempt, and Unser will get to second base with Harrelson still at bat. 2 outs and Harrelson at bat. Let's see what Harrelson can do. And actually, that was my bad. We should not have gone to the action chart because Kingman was in front of Unser. I didn't catch that. But that's going to negate that. You wouldn't try to pick off a guy at first with a runner at first and second, or at least I don't think you would. So we're going to ignore that. Just keep runners at first and second. 2 outs for Bud Harrelson. Try to keep things simple. 2-2-5 for Bud Harrelson. And a 2-2. 2-2 for Bud Harrelson is an 11. That's a good chance for a base hit right there. 2-11 and a 2-5 is a 1. It's a total of 12 in column number 2. And a 12 in column number 2 is your base hit. That's why 11s are good base hits, because look at that. Anything you add, 1 through 5, is going to represent a single. And so that's what we got here with 2 outs, runners on second scores, which means that Kingman, who is already on second, even as slow as he is, he will come around to score. And the Mets have now taken the lead right back as Bud Harrelson with an RBI single. That'll bring up the pitcher, Tom Terrific. Tom Terrific. And Tom Terrific. It's a 5-1-5. So Tom Seaver, a 5-1 is a 3. And a 5-5 is a 4. It's a total of 7 in column number 5, and that's a walk. So he's going to walk Tom Seaver, and that's going to load the bases. So Carlton on shaky ground. Bases loaded, 2 outs for Felix Millan. Trying to give Carlton the benefit of the doubt, if possible, if the bullpen is active. 1-6. 1-6 is a 4 for Millan. And a 1-5 is a 1 for Carlton. Total of 5, and that's a strikeout. So Carlton gets out of it, but the Mets bring across 2 runs and will take a 5-4 lead after 3 innings, and so much for my desire to play a close game. All right, now I'm missing a card from somewhere. Oh, there he is over here. Okay. Actually, I got that at bat incorrect because it should have been Gene Klein's, not Felix Millan. So we'll redo it with Gene Klein's. He was the actual batter. 145 is a 1 and a 6 is 45 in that column, and then a 1 and a 5 is a 1, so 46, and 46 in column 1 is actually going to be a comebacker to the pitcher. But actually, with 2 outs, it probably could call it a strikeout because they're not trying for any kind of double play. So we'll leave it as a strikeout, but it's going to be a strikeout assigned to Klein's, not to Millan. Millan will lead off the next inning. All right, so all this confusion. I was hoping for a pitching duel, but all of a sudden a slugfest broke out. So here we go. Leading things off will be Bob Boone. Now Carlton set to bat third, so you wonder if he's going to bat or not. Probably will, I guess. He's the best they've got. 6'4", 6-4 is a 58 for Boone, and a 6-1 is a 2. That's a total of 60 in column 6. And if we go to column 6, a 60 is a single to left field. Runner advances 1 base. So it talks about base runner advancement if people are already on base, but this is a leadoff single for Boone, and the hits just keep coming. And that'll bring up Alan Bannister. Bannister, a 6-3-2. 6-3 for Bannister is a 31, and a 6-2 for, actually should be Seaver, not Carlton. 6-2 for Seaver is a 1, so that's a total of 32 in column 6. We go to column 6, a 32, and that is a pop out to third base. So it's a pop out to third for 1 away, and that brings up Carlton. They're going to go ahead and let him swing away. When you're an ace of the staff, you get those privileges. It is a 5-4-3, so Carlton, 5 and a 4, is going to be a 27. And on Seaver, a 5 and a 3 is a 2K, total of 29 in column 5. 29 in column number 5 is a fly out to center field. So the K does not come into play. It's simply a fly to center for 2 outs. And that brings up Dave Cash, top of the order. And I'm trying not to shake this camera as best I can. Not always successful. 6-3 for Cash. 6-3 on Cash is a 16. A 6-5 under Seaver is a 2. That's a total of 18. We go to column number 6. And an 18 is a deep fly out to left field. It would have been a sacrifice fly had there been a runner on third and less than 2 outs. But that's the third out of the inning. And finally we get a 0 on the board for the Phillies. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's a 5-4 Mets lead. And Steve Carlton back out on the bump. And coming up for the Mets will be John Milner. Lefty on lefty matchup. I'm sorry, it'll be Felix Millan, not Milner, my bad. Felix Millan. Millan, a 2 and a 4. 2 and a 4 for Millan. 2 and a 4. That's a 60 with a raised number of 2, but that number does not change. So the blue die tells us who the outfielder is. And the blue die outfielder is going to be the left fielder. I'm sorry, it's going to be the center fielder, Mike Anderson, because that's a 4 there, which means that's a center fielder, Mike Anderson. Mike Anderson's ability for range is a 3, which is higher than the 2 that's listed on Millan's card, which means he will make the catch. So Mike Anderson gets the job done. That'll bring up John Milner. So Milner steps to the plate with 1 out and nobody on. It's a 2, 3, 4. So Milner, a 2 and a 3 is a 4. And a 2 and a 4 under Carlton is a 1. So a 1 to go with the 4 is a total of 5 in column 2. And anything in column 2 that is a total of 2 through 6 is a strikeout. And of course, being a 5, that falls in that category. So Milner is out on strikes. Brings up Joe Torre. Joe Torre. It's a 3-5-1. 3-5 for Torre is a 30, and a 3-1 for Carlton. I'm sorry, yeah, for Carlton is a 1. That's a total of 31 in column 3. We go to column 3, a 31. That's a line out to left, and the inning is over. So nothing doing for the Mets. Finally got some zeros on the board. We go to the 5th. It's still 5-4 in favor of the Mets. And let's see, I might try to do something a little bit different this inning because I've got my fold-out board up here, so I may try to pan to the fold-out board results rather than the book. See if that helps out any or not. Don't know. I always like to try new things. Larry Boa is going to set to lead off here in the 5th, and that's a 5-3-3. So Boa, a 5-3 is a 4 asterisk, and that asterisk means if he reaches, he gets a chance to steal. So it's a 5-4 there. And then for Seaver, the 5-3 is a 2K. So we got that was a 3 there, knocked it over. So it's a 4 and a 5, it's a total of 9. So a 9 A 9 is going to be a walk, and that's going to be resulting right here that column 5, number 9 is a walk. It says the pitcher has a raised number beside his column 5 grade. Then you do some other things. There is no raised number there. It's a letter, but it's not a raised number. So the walk's going to stand, and a leadoff walk to Larry Boa. Not what you want if you're Seaver. Don't like those leadoff walks. Here's Willie Montañez. Montañez, 3-2-6. 3-2 for Montañez is an 11. And again, when you get an 11 in column 3, that is almost, well, 11 in column 2 is a base hit. 11 in column 3 may be a base hit, but probably not. So it's 11 for Montañez, and a 3-6 for Seaver is a 2. That's a total of 13 in column number 3. And if we come up to column number 3, a 13 is a line out to short. So a line out to short for out number 1. And I do like the trifold board because I'm not flipping pages. And if I wasn't doing a video, all I have to do is raise my eyes up and see what the result is. But it's a lot better than flipping the pages, in my opinion. Here is Luzinski. It's a 3-4-2. So Luzinski, a 3-4 is a 57, and a 3-2 is a 1. It's a 58 in column 3, and again, 58 in column 3 is that rare play that comes in when you get a 58 through a 62. And of course, when you add anything to 57, you're going to get that. So it's a rare play, and we're looking for an odd or even. It is even, so that means we've got to come back to the pitcher, that dribbler to the pitcher, and I'm going to check that and see what happens. And what we're going to do is test the speed rating of the base runner once we roll this die here. We're going to roll one die and check it against the speed rating of the runner. Unfortunately, Luzinski's only a 3 rated runner. That is a 3 on the result. It says roll one die against the runner's speed. If die is higher, he is out. Well, how about that? Luzinski beat it out because the 3 and the 3 are the same. It is not, the die is not higher. So that means Luzinski, believe it or not, actually beat out an infield hit, moves Boa to second. Runners at first and second now with 1 out for Mike Schmidt. So this is the chance for the Phillies to make hay. It's a 4-5-6. That's a fielding check. 4-5 is a 2, and a 4-6 is the second baseman. Second baseman, who is Felix Millan. His rating is a 3. So we add that to the 2 of Mike Schmidt. And we go up here to column 4 with the infield halfway, which is their version of double play depth. And the result is a 5 total, which puts us in the 2 to 6 category. And that's going to be a second to first double play. So that's going to end the inning as that ball went to the second baseman Millan. He flipped it over to Harrelson, who flipped it back to Milner, and Schmidt is gone in the 4-6-3 DP. The inning is over for the Phillies. We go to the bottom of the 5th. It's still 5-4 Mets. And leading off will be Dave Kingman. And he's facing Carlton. So it's a 4-1-2 for Kingman. 4-1, another fielding check. 4-1 is a 1, and a 4-2 is the second baseman, in this case Dave Cash, and Cash is a 2. It's a total of 3 in column 4. And this time we're in the infield back category. And you can see 2 through 11 is simply a ground out to first. So that's 1 away as Kingman grounds to Cash. 1 down for Jerry Grody. 5-6-3, 5-6-3, 5-6 for Jerry Grody is a 3. And a 5-3 under Carlton is a 3. That's a total of 6. 6 in column 5. And if we come up here to column 5, number 6 is a base on balls. So it's a base on balls. With runner on first only, or base is full, count as 2 balls, but nobody's on base, so the base on balls will stick. One thing about this replay baseball game, it's one of the harder games, I think, to present on video because you're having to pan so much and look at so many things. But I'm trying to do what I can to show everything, but not to make people dizzy. All right, here is a 3-2-1 for Dell Unser. So a 3-2 for Dell Unser is a 29. So we'll see what that brings forth. 29 and a 3-1 is a 1. It's a total of 30 in column 3. So we go up here to column 3 and number 30, and that says that we have a line out to left field. So if there was a runner on third and less than 2 outs, he'd have a chance to score, but that's not the situation. It's simply going to be a fly to left for out number 2, and that brings up Bud Harrelson. 2 outs and Grody still at first via the walk. It's a 1-5-2, so Harrelson, a 1 and a 5 is a 5, and a 1 and a 2 on Carlton is a 1. It's a total of 6 in column 1, and we know that in column 1, row 6 is a strikeout. So strikeout is going to end the inning. After 5 complete, it's the Mets still clinging to a 5-4 lead. What's the price of the game? Mr. Utah Mike, if you go on their website, Replay Games, they have a couple different options you can do. You can order just the game pieces, and I think that's like I want to say $25 or something like that, and you get like 8 sample teams with it. But if you order a season with the game pieces, then the game pieces, the board, and the book, and the charts, and all that stuff are a lot lower. And that's what I did when I ordered the game. I ordered the 75 set with it, and that's what I did. The PC game is excellent. If you want to get introduced to the game, I would actually suggest the PC game because you can learn a lot from that. And the PC game, the seasons are only $24, I think, or 20-something bucks. The card sets are generally in the 50s, but to be fair, they're they are the highest quality game cards in the industry, bar none. The only one's even close, I would say, is Payoff Pitch, but even that, I think these cards are just a notch above as far as the quality. They're really thick card stock. They're colorful. They last. They're very, very good. They definitely put Stratomatic to shame as far as card quality goes. So, I look at it this way: you pay for what you get, as the old saying goes. But I would suggest looking on their website. Sometimes they have sales when they're releasing other seasons. Sometimes they'll bring out sales. So that's always a good thing to check out as well. All right, top of the 6th, Mike Anderson will lead things off against Seaver. So let's put Seaver back in the bump right here. All right, so Mike Anderson, that's a 3-5-4. So Mike Anderson, a 3 and a 5. We're back to the colored shaded area again, which is the ballpark check. So we're going to roll that red die again, see if that number changes. It's a 6. So it started out as a 3. However, it is now changed to a 5 thanks to that 6 die roll there. So it's going to change to a 5, and that means that's going to be a base hit because nobody has a 6 range rating. The 5 is a guaranteed base hit. And so a 3 and whatever you want to add to it, it's a single. There's no question about it. 3 and a 4. Well, let me take that back. Let me rearrange. Let me reboot that because I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of the raised number. My bad. The 3 becomes a 5, but that's not a guaranteed hit because 4-4 Seaver is a 1. So you add the 1 to the 5, and you get a fly ball to center. Had Seaver been rated anything other than a 1, it would have dropped it into the singles category. But since Seaver was a 1, it turned into an out. So it's a short fly to center field, and that is going to be out number 1. So got a little presumptuous there, assuming, and you know what happens when you assume. So I did want to check that out and make sure I got it correctly. Hello, Beatles. How you doing? All right, 3-5-5 for Boone. So Boone, a 3-5 is a 3. And for Seaver, a 3-5 is a 2. That's a total of 5 in column 3. We're right back where we were last time. That's going to be a short fly to left. The only difference was it went to left instead of center. And so it looks like Seaver is possibly settling in after that rough third inning. He's kind of finding his way through this game. Here's Alan Bannister. It's a fielding check of 4-1. 4-1 for Bannister is a 2. A 4-5 for Seaver is the shortstop, Bud Harrelson. And his rating is a 3. So we add the 3 to the 2. That's a total of 5. And in column 4, anything 2 through 11 is a ground out. So ground out, and the Phillies are done in order here in the 6th. Nothing doing. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and it'll be Carlton probably in his last inning of work because he's scheduled to lead off the 7th, so it's probably going to be his last inning. I say probably, but you never know. And for the Mets, it'll be Tom Seaver to lead things off. He's going to keep going. He's pitched 6, but he's certainly capable of pitching more. It's a 4-6-6. 4-6-6 off of Seaver's card. 4-6 is a 1. It's a fielding check, obviously, with column 4. 4-6 is a 1. And a 4-6 here is the second baseman, Dave Cash, who is a 2. It's a total of 3. And as we've seen, anything 2 to 11 is a simple ground out. So Seaver is out 4-3, courtesy of Dave Cash. That brings up Gene Klein's leadoff hitter. Klein's a 3-2-4. So a 3 and a 2 is an 11, and that's going to be an out because the 3 and the 4 make it a 2. You add the 2 to the 11, that's a 13. And in column 3, number 13, that is a line out to short, and that's out number 2. So 2 up, 2 down, and that brings up Felix Millan, second baseman. Felix Millan. It's a 1-6-6. So 1-6 for Millan. This thing is slowing down on me a little bit. 1-6 for Millan is a 4, and a 1-6 for Carlton is a 1. It's a total of 5 in column 1, and anything 2 through 6 in column 1 is a strikeout. So the inning is over. That's all for the Mets. And now go to the 7th, and there will be a pinch hitter for Steve Carlton. So Carlton is done for the day. He will leave, and Jay Johnstone will pinch hit for the Phillies. He's going to pinch hit for Carlton, and then we'll get a new pitcher in the bottom of the inning for the Phillies. But right now it is going to be Jay Johnstone. Jay Johnstone against Seaver. It's a 1-5-1. So 1 and a 5 is a 4 for Johnstone, and a 1 and a 1 is a 1 for Seaver. That's a 5. Anything 2 through 6 is a strikeout. So Johnstone strikes out in his pinch hitting appearance. He is out of there. That brings up Dave Cash, top of the order. Cash is 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. It's 3-5-5. 3-5-5 is a 3 for Cash, and a 3-5 for Seaver is a 2. Total of 5 in column 3, and a 5 in column 3 is a short fly to left field. So there's 2 down, and that brings up Larry Bowa. Larry Bowa. Bowa 5-2-5. So Bowa 5-2 is a 27, and a 5-5 for Seaver is a 3. That's a total of 30 in column 5, and a 30 in column 5 is going to be, there's column 5, a 30 is going to be a fly out to center field. So he's out of there, and so are the Phillies here in the 7th. So 7th inning stretch time, and the Phillies need a new pitcher, so we'll go to their bullpen and see who we're going to get to come in. It looks like it's going to be Gene Garber. So Gene Garber is coming in for the Phillies. He will be the new pitcher for the Phillies. And his first batter faced will be John Milner. So Garber to face Milner here in the bottom of the 7th. It's a 4-2-4 fielding check. 4-2 for Milner is a 2. 4-4 for Garber is the shortstop, which is Bowa, and his rating's a 3. Total of 5 in column 4. And again, 2 through 11 is a simple ground out, so Bowa makes the play. And Milner is retired. Brings up Joe Torre, third baseman, and Torre in the game is 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. It's a 1-3-6. 1-3 for Torre is a 35, and a 1-6 for Garber is a 2. It's a total of 37 in column 1, and a 37 in column number 1. There it is. 37 is a ground ball to second, and there's nobody on base, so they would be back, so it's simply going to be an out. You don't have to worry about base running on that one because nobody's on base. 2 up, 2 down as Garber gets the first 2 outs, and here's Dave Kingman. And unfortunately, this game the pitching is finally recovered because it was going to be a blowout early with a lot of runs. All right, so 166 for Kingman. 1-6 for Kingman is a 35. And a 1-6 for Garber is a 2. That's a 37. And a 37, right back where we were before. 37 is going to be a ground out. So it is a ground out to the second baseman Cash once again. And the inning is over. So we go to the 8th. And Tom Seaver has really settled in. But they may be going to the bullpen because he pitched a lot of innings, or a lot of batters faced. He's up to 29 batters faced. Actually, his batters faced and his fatigue is an 8. Batters faced is 30, so they're actually going to let him go one more inning if possible. And he's going to face Willie Montañez, but the bullpen is loosening. That's a 2-6-6. 2-6 for Montañez. We're in the colored range again for the ballpark. So that's going to be the looping liner. We're going to re-roll the red die and see if that number changes from a 3 to something else. It's a 1, so it might. Column 2, looping liner, a 1 changes to a 1. So it went from a 3 to a 1, which is a guaranteed catch because everybody, unless you're out of position, has a greater range than 1. So Montañez, the blue die is a 6, which means it went to left field, and that means the left fielder, Gene Kleins, makes the catch. So 1 away, it brings up the bull, Greg Luzinski. Luzinski, a 5.35. For Luzinski, a 5.3 is a 7G. That G means that's going to be the action chart if he reaches. Right now it's a 7. 5.5 is a 2. I'm sorry, it's a 3. Makes it a 10. 10. So on 10 and a number 5, that's going to be a walk. And we're going to go to the action chart because of the fact that that Luzinski had that G on there. That G means we're going to the action chart. So after the walk, we go to the action chart, and let's see what the action chart has to say under column G. So this one I will be using the book for because that's where the action chart is. I'm going to roll in the action chart, and we'll be checking column G. And we get a 6. So a 6 under column G is, let's see here, 6 is caught stealing. Caught stealing, CS. So it's just plain old caught stealing. I don't know where Greg Luzinski thought he was going, but he is caught stealing after drawing that walk. So he is erased. 2 outs, base is empty. Obviously not good base running when you're behind, but he thought he saw something. He thought he could get a break, and it didn't happen. So now here is Schmidt. 4.54 for Schmidt. 4.5 is a 2. A 4.4 is the shortstop Harrelson, who was a 3. Before 2 through 11 is a ground out. So they're out of the inning. So what could have been promising, the caught stealing really put the kibosh on it. And that's going to do it for the Phillies. That was the heart of their order, so they're going to have trouble in the 9th. But they've got to keep the Mets from scoring further as well. So Jerry Grody is going to lead things off against Gene Garber. And Seaver is probably going to get a pinch hit for if it gets his part of the order. It's a 3-5-6. That's the left-right check in History Maker Baseball, in case you're curious. All right, 3-5-6. 3-5 is 12, and 3-6 is a 5. That's a total of 17 in column 3. A 17 in column 3 is going to be a double to the center field gap. So Jerry Grody comes up with a base hit. His first of the game. He'd walked twice, but now he's gotten a double. It's a leadoff double. That brings up Del Unser as the Mets look for insurance. 3-5 for Del Unser is a 12. And 3 is a 2. That's a 14 in column 3. And a 14 in column 3 is a line out to third. Runners hold. So Unser trying to go the opposite way. Lined it hard, but right at Schmidt. There's 1 away for Bud Harrelson, and we will have a pinch hitter for Seaver coming up behind Harrelson. It's 2-4-6. 2-4 for Harrelson is a 3, and a 2-6 is a 2 for Garber. Total of 5, and a 5 in column 2 is a strikeout. So there's 2 away, and now we'll get the pinch hitter as Seaver's time is up, but he's going to be pinch hit for. And we'll go to the Mets bench and get Rusty Staub. So Rusty Staub, he had sat in the lineup because of the lefty Carlton. But Staub's going to get a chance And it's a 6-1-6. 6-1-6. 6-1 for Staub is a 16. 6-6 for Garber is a 5. That's a 21. 21 in column 6 is a deep fly to center field. Deep fly to center field. And the inning is over. So nothing doing for the Mets. Rusty Staub fails in his pinch hitting duties. And Seaver will step aside. We'll go to the bullpen for the Mets. Find out who their closer is. And I don't even know, because Tug McGraw is not on the roster right now. So I got to figure out from them who got the saves. Rick Baldwin had 6 saves. So he looks like the leading candidate. So it's going to be right-hander Rick Baldwin because he did have 6 saves. So Rick Baldwin is in the ball game for the Mets as he tries to put this game away. This tightly contested ball game, 5-4. It's been 5-4 since the 3rd inning. The last 5 innings have all been shutout. And now he's going to face Anderson, Boone, and Bannister. Although the Phillies could go to their bench if they really wanted to. We'll see. Anderson's a .259 hitter, though, so you might as well let him swing away. And they will. 6-3-1. 6-3 is a 16. And a 6-1 is a 1. That's a total of 17 in column 6. Column 6, number 17, is a deep fly out to left. So there's one away. Brings up Bob Boone. Bob Boone, followed by Bannister. Although they do have some people on the bench, you might see a pinch hitter here. But Boone's going to hit for himself. 6-3. 6-3 is a 31. A 6-2 is a 1. It's a 32. And column number 6, number 32, is a pop out to third, handled by none other than Joe Torre. So there's 2 away, and Bannister is going to be called back. He's not going to bat. Danny Ozark's going to his bench to see who he has available. He's already used Johnstone. So let's see who they got. They got Ollie Brown to downtown because they need a home run to tie the game. So they're going with downtown Ollie Brown and take a shot to see if he can go downtown. That was his nickname, Downtown Ollie Brown. So he's going to try it against Rick Baldwin. He is the tying run at the plate with 2 outs in the 9th. It's a 1-3-3. It's going to happen. 1-3-3. 1-3 for Ollie Brown is a 2. 3 for Garber. I'm sorry, for Baldwin. Total of 4. That is a strikeout in column 1. And so that is your ball game as the Mets hold on for a 5-4 victory as downtown Ollie Brown went for the downtown but got nothing but air. And that's the ball game, folks. Replay baseball, like I said, it's a great game. I've actually got it up here on my computer. I just haven't put the stats in yet, but you can see I've got the game set up here at Shea Stadium. Tom Seaver will be, so once I finish the video and take care of that. So that's right, Tug is on the Phillies. Actually, Tug wasn't on the Phillies now that I think about it. I believe, for whatever reason, when I went to the opening rosters, he was not on the Phillies. So Tug McGraw must have been injured or something because he was not listed as a starter for the Phillies on opening day. For the Mets, good question who they had on the Mets team. I guess they had a committee for the closing position because not many people had saves on that ball club. So that's replay baseball, but it is a nice game, compared to other games. But also, and I'm not being a salesman for replay, I'm just saying what I know or what I've experienced. The game cards are, top-notch quality. Can't get any better than that. These are the best in the business. And Pete Ventura, customer service, is excellent. They do have the computer version of the game, so if there's cards you're missing, you can plug it right in. They're a direct entry screen for play-by-play. Once you put the score sheet, enter the game results. The manual there is. And I don't get to play it as much because I've been playing Stratomatic, I've been playing History Maker Baseball, I've been playing so your free time is spent doing other things, but I do like to sometimes get back to this. So as we fold up our little trifold here, that was a presentation of Replay Baseball by Pete Ventura, and this is the trifold board that comes with the game. I guess if you really wanted this spiral bound book, you could order it that way, but if you order it right now, you're going to get this. So, and you also get, obviously, depending on what you order, you could get different types of cards and so forth. They have a lot of different seasons. Like I said, I would suggest starting out that's how I did it. It's a free trial, doesn't cost anything. You can download it, play a few games. If you don't like it, you can delete it and be done with it. But if you do like it, then you can order it from replay.com or replaybaseball.com. The computer game is actually reasonably priced. Like, seasons are definitely reasonably priced. And you can still play the game with cards and dice because they have the card imaging on the game itself. You don't have to pay extra for it like you do on Stratomatic. They have the actual game cards. In fact, I'll bring the computer over here. I don't know how it shows up on the phone, but the computer here of the different players. So both batter and pitcher. So you could technically have the computer screen up and roll the dice and use the game parts to, do your results if you didn't want to play strictly computer. But again, the computer is there to, one thing I like it for is to autoplay the other games, so that if you're playing a season playthrough, you can stick to one team, play them, and the computer will pick up. I'm sorry about the shaky video. I'm getting some buffering results on the video saying it's buffering from time to time. Hopefully that's not the case. It's Friday, and it's Friday afternoon, which means Friday night is following, which means I got a big football game to go to on Friday night for my politically incorrect Confederates. They haven't changed the name yet. I'm sure they will at some point. But they're 3-0, and they'll be playing the number 3 team, which is the 2-time defending state champions. So not a very good chance they're going to be 4-0. They're most likely to be 3-1 when it's all said and done. I just hope they play a good game and keep it close. But anyway, we're talking baseball, so let's get back to baseball. And this is Replay Baseball. And I hope you enjoyed that presentation. And like I said, if it's not for you, that's fine. I mean, the worst you can do is try and not like it. Your game, you get a free trial, so you can't go wrong. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to give them a credit card. You don't do anything. You just have to email or download the free trial. In fact, they encourage you to do the free trial before you buy, so that you don't have buyer's remorse like you would on some other games. So it's about almost 3:20 here on the East, which means I need to get moving, doing some things I need to do before I leave. Again, final score: Mets 5, Phillies 4. All the runs came in the first 3 innings, and it was a shutout the rest of the way as the Mets held on for opening day over the Phillies. So appreciate all you guys tuning in, watching, and chatting, and keeping me interested and keeping me engaged. And until next time, as usual, it's kind of become my little catchphrase, for lack of a better term. I will see you all down the road.